How's it going, everybody? It is Dennis, and it is that time of the month, that time of the week. We have our YieldMax ETF payments, and of course, as you guys may or may not know, they're paying weekly now. There's weekly payments, so I can't go over all the YieldMax ETF payments. And of course, I'm going to be switching up my schedule as well on how I make these videos. I'm going to be making these YieldMax payment videos at the end of the month now, including with the monthly payments. Might be including them all together, might as well, or maybe not. We'll have to see. But in general, weekly payments now for YieldMax ETFs, if you may or may not know. Also, this is the first technically official weekly payment for October, and in general, the more the more formal payment from YieldMax ETFs for this new strategy that they have for their payment schedule. So this is the first informal one. We are getting the first informal weekly payments from the YieldMax ETFs such as TSLY, CRSH, GOOY, YBIT, OARC, ZOMO, SNOWY, and TSLY. We've already been getting YMAX and YMAG payments for the past 2 weeks, and this is the third week for them. But for all the other ones, this is their first time paying on a weekly basis. Of course, it's monthly for each ETF, but it's split up into weekly payments. And of course, I own only 3 out of this segment's payments. So I only own TSLY, GOOY, and YMAX. So that's the only ones we're going to be going over. But of course, you can look at this chart, pause the video, take a look at the chart, see what the distributions are, see what the rates are, and of course, when the payments are going to be received, which is of course this week, Friday, which is also a new nice addition for YieldMax ETFs. They are now actually paying on Fridays. It's not going to be random like Tuesdays, Thursdays, the week after. It's on Fridays. If you have Robinhood, it'll be reinvested on Monday. But Friday, you will have the cash in your account if you are not reinvesting or dripping back into your account on Robinhood. So let's go ahead and take a look on how much I've made for this week. And of course, this is not how it's always going to be. I'm not going to make weekly videos now on every single weekly payments. This is just for this week. I'm also having a busy week as well. I'm heading out somewhere soon for next week, which is why I'll have a change of location next week as well, which you will see if I'm able to get a video, that is. But for this week, I'm just going to be going over the payments as mentioned. And starting off with TSLY, we have a great payment of $1.09 or $1.949. And that gave us a total of $426.15 from a total share count of 389.2143 shares. And as you can see, it's increasing. It's increasing the share count. The dividend amount is increasing. Dividends per share is staying stable. Even with the value of the shares going down, as you guys may or may not know, TSLY has gone down in value, especially after this payment. Today on the 3rd, October 3rd, when they did have the distribution go out last night, and it got cut away from the share value. Not only did it drop by $1.09, the share value, it also dropped today with market movements because Tesla fell as well. So we did have a dramatic drop in TSLY, but of course, most of it is because of the dividend per share that was paid out, $1.09, and they did earn a good amount for this month. So this payment is to par for how much they've made. But it's pretty nice to see. As you can see, the last time we got a dollar payment was back in July, where we had 354 shares, and that earned us a total of $355. And now with 389 shares, we've earned $426.15. So we are consistently increasing. Of course, we have months where it's lower, such in August and such as September, and that's because the dividends per share were lower themselves. But in general, if we stay around that $1 to 80 cent mark, we are increasing consistently due to the share increase, because I am investing 50% of my dividends back into TSLY that TSLY earns, and then the other 50% from TSLY dividends is going to other funds. So 389 shares, $1.09 per share, dividends earned, and it gave us a total of $426.15. That leaves us with a total so far for TSLY for the year of 2024. Of course, we still have November and December, but so far $426.15 is giving us a total of $2,996.72 earned from dividends. Of course, that is not cash. I'm reinvesting most of that money back into TSLY and back into other funds and strategies. So that is not cash. That is just how much TSLY has paid out to me so far. Next one up on the list is GOOY. GOOY was a little bit of a disappointment this month when it came to my portfolio. I've been adding a bunch of shares into it because underlying Google has been trending under the 50 and 200-day moving average. So I added a couple shares. As you can see, I've added over 41 shares since we last talked in September. And from August, I've added even more since then. So as you can see, from August, September, we went to 280 shares. From September to October, we went to 321 shares. And with that, we've also went down with dividends per share. From August, we had 49 cents per share, almost 50, down to 35.77 in September, and now down to 25.54. I guess you can say that is kind of expected because Google has been growing, and when technically when the underlying grows, usually your distributions are lower because either you're hunting for that premium and you're going up and you're trending upwards with the value of the shares going up. And usually volatility drops as well. When stocks grow, volatility drops. When stocks drop or go up and down, but that's where volatility is. That's when volatility goes up. So 321 shares is how much we earn currently in October. We got a payout of $25.54 per share, as I've mentioned before. Pretty low. It's actually the same as in March, which is pretty funny. So in March was the last time we got $25.54, and in January of this year is the lowest we've had so far for this year of $22.98. So we're still not at our lowest from dividends per share, but we are getting close. And $25.54, not the greatest, but it's okay. We'll take it. And that gave us a total of $81.98. Now you can imagine if we had a almost 50-cent payment or a 68 or 66-cent payment, that would have been a crazy payout. That would have been roughly like what, $150, almost $200 payout if we had the 66-cent or the 68-cent or even the 50. That would have been like what, $160 would have been paid out from GOOY. So $81.98, not too shabby, not too bad. That leaves us with a total so far for 2024 of $547.73. We received a total so far of distributions of $4.15 from GOOY, and also we missed that on TSLY. TSLY so far has paid us $7.68 if you round up the 82. $7.68 so far for 2024. So it's going quite well. Of course, once again, not cash. This is being reinvested. I am not holding this in cash. So these are all just distributions that I've received, and I've done a lot with them as well. Now, next up, the third one and the last one I have from YieldMax is YMAX, and YMAX is now paying weekly. And that's why I'm saying I'm not going to be tracking these anymore because, they're not paying one payment, and that's all. Usually I would track the one-time payment, which would be all the funds, and I'll go over all the funds on this spreadsheet. But since they're now paying weekly and they're being split apart, I don't want to do all that tracking. I don't want to waste your guys' time on a weekly basis going over all these funds and all the dividends. So we're just going to go ahead and just do it all towards the end of the month when I have all my distributions. That's when we'll be making the video. So next up is YMAX. YMAX is a weekly payer. It's not a monthly payer like these other funds, but just split into weekly times. This is a real weekly payer. In YMAX, of course, we have to track weekly now. So YMAX for the first week of October paid me $20.76 per share, or 20 cents or 21 cents per share, for a total of 300.4515 shares. As you can see, my share count has not changed for YMAX. I am not reinvesting currently into YMAX. I'm actually reinvesting into other funds, other opportunities. I'm actually saving most of my capital currently to buy more contracts for my option strategies. So that's something that I'm saving up for currently. But 300.4515 is the amount of shares I've had for the past 3 weeks. We got, of course, a lower payment compared to 2270 and 2220. We have 2076 is what we got paid out, and that gave us a total of 6237 for the first week of October. And of course, that is down 6.49% compared to the previous week of 6670, and that is down negative 53.76% from the month of January. But of course, January only had 2 payments, or 2 weeks of payments. So we still have another 3 weeks of payments, and if we continue to get 60 cents or $60 paid out on a weekly basis with no reinvestments made into YMAX, and we hold at the 300 share count, we would roughly be around the $240 mark made from YMAX in October, but we'll have to see. They depend on what groups pay, how much they earn for YMAX, and that's how much we will receive. But if we continue to get $60, that's not going to be too bad. $240 made. As you can see, that will be definitely higher than we've gotten before. We had 300 shares back in September that made $134, but that's because we only got 2 weeks of payments. Before that, we had 285 shares, and that paid us a total of $168.50, $132.31 So we do go up to the stay at the 300 share count, and we get a higher, let's say 60 to 80 cent dividend payment per share, which means, you know, you're getting 20 cents for every week for 4 weeks. That's 80 cents. We would be at the $240 mark roughly if no shares are added, meaning we would beat all the other payments we've had previously. But besides that, besides the YMAX payment, besides the TSLY payment, and besides the GOOY payment, we can see that we are already at $508.13, and this is not even inputting YMAX payment so far. We put the YMAX payment that we received of $62.37. We will be at $570 so far earned for the month of October, and that is missing, of course, more YMAX payments. That is missing Aptly and AMZ, which we have not received, and also a new fund that I've added into my YMAX or YieldMax positions, which I'll be sharing at the end of the month, talking about what fund I added, why I added it, and why I think it's a growth potential, or not a growth potential, but why it has the chance to win and provide value to my fund in my portfolio. But that is pretty much it. With YMAX, again, we're at $734.33. A total of $4.35 paid so far. Of course, if we add the 20 cents, that goes up to $456 paid so far. Or sorry, $4.56 paid so far. And of course, with the total, we add the $734 with the 62 cents. That brings up to roughly $790 paid so far from YMAX. So YMAX is beating GOOY. YMAX is beating Aptly. YMAX is not beating AMZ or TSLY, but it is beating Aptly and GOOY so far. And of course, it does have more shares than the other two. Now, right now, we're down negative 38.73% in the grand total for the monthly growth. Of course, not all the numbers are inputted. And the total that we have, the grand total so far for 2024 is $6,155.90. So we're still short, of course, as you can see on the graph, we're still short from that $1,000 mark from YieldMax alone. That, as you guys may or may not know, that's what I'm trying to hit. That's the goal I have for myself, is to be able to create a portfolio just from YieldMax ETFs, or that section of my portfolio of YieldMax ETFs that earns me $1,000 a month alone. Of course, I have QDTE, I have other funds as well, and of course, we're just going to go over that right now in a second. QDTE, which is the other one that I have, this one adds, as you can see, $165, $83 this adds, and $238 this adds, of course, more funds into my portfolio, increasing that monthly income. But I want to see YieldMax ETF paying me $1,000 a month, because if YieldMax ETF can pay me $1,000 a month, that means I can use YieldMax ETFs alone to go ahead and buy myself more contracts. I won't have to take money out of QDTE. I won't have to take money out of my other ETFs that I have. And I'll just have YieldMax funding my other strategies or funding other funds that have stable NAV, stable dividends, and provide stable income, compared to YieldMax ETF that loses NAV or drops NAV, or maybe the distributions are not as stable as other funds. So yes, that is that for YieldMax ETF. Of course, also QDTE paid for its first week of October, and we might as well go over it since we're already on the sheet. So 139.7583 shares is how much we have. And of course, QDTE paid $21.76 per share, lower than the previous week and also lower than the average of last month. And that got us a total of $30.41, lower by negative 14.72%. From last week, and negative 81.61% from last month. But of course, we still have 3 more weeks of trading. We have 3 more weeks of dividends, and we will see what they're able to cook up for us, what they're able to give to us, if we're able to beat that $165 mark from last month, and maybe get close to August payments. Of course, August had 5 weeks of payments technically, so if we're able to get close to $238, that'll be fantastic. I'd love to see that, get up to that $200 mark. If not, then not. We'll go ahead and stay under the $200 mark, but hopefully over the $165. So that has been my distributions for the month of September, or the first week of, first week of October. So that is that. Of course, making this video, not going to be doing this every week. I'm just making this video because I am quite busy this week. I'm getting prepared to leave somewhere. So of course, I'm just making this video so I could go ahead and just show you what I am doing. And go ahead and just, make a quick video. Have something up for this week. Might as well show you guys what I'm earning for this week for this first distribution that we've received. The first ever distribution or weekly distribution from YieldMax ETFs, or the single stock ETFs. So yeah, TSLY the highest payer, $426.15. Quite good. Quite good. We're saving up, like I mentioned before, we're saving up for a new contract to be added into our poor man covered call strategy. So not currently reinvesting into anything. I want to put more money into my option strategies. So that's that. That has been my weekly distributions. I will see you guys next week. If I'm able to put out a video, I'll go ahead and do so. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. It's going to be in a different setting. Once again, if I'm able to put it out. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week, hopefully, if I am able to put out a video for you guys. But that has been me. See you guys. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys